For well over a month now, I've been on a quest to absolutely destroy Ultra BELLANOIR LIBERO. In total, I've spent almost 150 hours on this project alone. In the last episode of this series, I made an Jetragon army to take on the boss because of its quad resistance, but it just wasn't strong enough. Since I've uploaded that video, I've gotten a lot of very helpful feedback from the comments, and I've applied a lot of what I've learned from that into this Jetragon project. So without further ado, here's my 70-hour journey to making a perfect Jetragon army to take on Ultra BELLANOIR LIBERO. I hope you enjoy. While the Jetragon fight did go terribly wrong, I did learn a few lessons from it. Number one is that 4-star condensing every pal is an absolute must. In my last fight using the Jetragons, the 4-star condensed Jetragons lasted about 33% longer than the 3-star Jetragons. With this in mind, I would need 2,340 Jetragons to finish this project. The only way I could fathom completing this project in a reasonably timely fashion was to turn off egg incubation time. This is because with the 4 breeding farms I was upkeeping, I would need to produce 585 eggs from each farm to complete this project. You can only breed 1 egg from a breeding farm every 5 minutes because that's what the game caps you at. So at this pace, it would have taken me over 2 days just in itself to get the eggs out of the breeding farm. I figured adding 4 extra days of just waiting for incubating eggs wouldn't be fun for me or you. I've actually gotten a lot of comments over the last few videos about not having this timer on, and I appreciate the support. I didn't really want to do it because it felt like cheating, but it's just unrealistic for me to keep up doing this. The other thing that I worked on for this project that I didn't account for during the Jetragon project was IVs. For those curious, this is what the IVs on those Jetragons actually looked like. It's kind of sad to look at now because I missed out on so much potential. Here's how I went about getting perfect IVs on my Jetragons. When starting the Jetragon line, I used the ability glasses to pick parents that had at least 1 IV over 90. This made it so I only needed to farm 1 IV fruit for each stat, because farming IV fruits is a complete pain in the ass. The big issue is that it's a 1 in 3 chance to get the IV fruit every time, and you can't pick which one you get. In my experience, for example, I farmed 7 BELLANOIR Liberos just to get 1 of each fruit. Waiting for the dungeons to respawn is also annoying, but it's not that big of a deal considering I needed to AFK for breeding the entire time anyway. The traits I decided to go for this were Burly Body, Divine Dragon, Legend, and Musclehead. I went with Burly Body instead of Ferocious because I think the Jetragons surviving longer is more important than the extra damage they're dealing, because the primary damage being dealt to this boss is my assault rifle. This is again the portion of the video where I'm just going to skip ahead. There's nothing really interesting here. It's literally just me breeding for 3 days straight, having the computer on at all times. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to wake up during the middle of the night to expedite this process like I was with the Jetragons because I was actually doing this during my finals week, but I made it work. Farming the 2,000 plus cakes was actually pretty easy because I found a new method to get unlimited gold and a way to buy all the ingredients you need for cake besides honey. If you want more information on this farm, I'll link a video where I describe how to do it at the end of this one, so stay tuned. But yeah, I basically just smacked a bunch of bee guards in my base, farmed unlimited gold, and went about my day with no cake problems at all. Thank you again for leaving comments. It was really helpful and it saved me so much time during this process. Once I had bred 20 perfect Jetragons with perfect traits, perfect IVs, and fully condensed, I needed to buff them with souls. To do this, I did the same farming method I did in the last project, just breeding and butchering Anubises. This is still my favorite way to farm this. A lot of comments ask me why I don't just use Necromus. The reason is, yet again, that I just don't need Palmetal ingots at all. I will literally never run out of them. Another thing I changed from last time is that now I'm using souls on all 3 of attack, defense, and health instead of just shortcutting and only doing defense. This did take forever in the background of everything else, but this is what I had going AFK while my finals were actually taking place. About 2 days worth of breeding Anubises and butchering them was able to get me enough large souls to turn from the crusher into medium and small souls so I could have enough to make all my pals max soul buff. This process cost a total of 690 large pal souls, which get dropped 1 at a time from butchering the Anubises. I was not kidding when I said I was going insane. I'm not cutting any corners this time. The last time I fought this boss, I got absolutely crushed. So losing again due to lack of preparation just wasn't an option. Here's some last second preparation I did for this fight that paid off in dividends. Making Mozzarella cheeseburgers not only for myself, but for all 20 Jetragons was something I absolutely overlooked last time. The 20% damage increase would be huge in enabling me to not run out of time. It also enabled the Jetragons to deal so much more damage to the boss before they inevitably fainted. I just want to mention 2 other things really quickly before I get into the fight. Number one is that I see they just enabled us to be able to breed down for alpha pals now. That wasn't a thing when I did this project, so none of these pals are alpha. I started this project with the assumption that alpha pals couldn't be bred, so I'm gonna finish it that way. I also slightly adjusted how I leveled the pals this time. I didn't only use Marcus and Valeris, I did use the training manuals to their extent. Once the training manuals ran out, I did go back to Marcus and Valeris just to finish off the last few Jetragons that hadn't been fully max leveled. On my Astagon project that I spent 50 hours on, I barely put a dent into this boss. So you can imagine how nervous I was going into this fight. Without further ado, here's how the fight went. To spare you from a handful of profanities, I will cut back in here. This is essentially the point where I lost this fight. The mistake I made was throwing out the Ragnarok too close to the boss, so it tried to attack it with a move instead of being able to fly away while I was riding it. Of course, I was immediately punished for this and I died instantly, and I just wasn't able to DPS down the boss from the remaining HP in time. The boss fight ended with it having about 100,000 HP or so remaining, and I was left disappointed. Although I lost again, there were some things that I was happy about. I was so much closer to beating it this time. I really think if I tried this 10 times, I could beat it at least once, but that's not how I want to win. I want to win by absolutely destroying this boss. With a few tweaks in my strategy and a better plan going into the ice stage of the boss, I'm almost certain that I can destroy it. For now, I'm just gonna get back to breeding and hopefully I'm done with this soon. Sorry about the delay with the uploads recently. I had finals week and I just didn't have time to make a video. I hope you enjoyed the new editing style in this one and hopefully it was worth the wait for you. The first episode of that hardcore playthrough is currently in the works. It's been an absolute nightmare so far and I know you're gonna enjoy it. Well, that's it for me. Make sure to subscribe for more Palworld content coming up soon. The support is greatly appreciated. Also, thanks for helping me get my Frostallion back. Bye!